Hey everybody, it's Ryan. I'm going to do a training video. It's been a while since I posted one, and this is a squat session, I think from the 22nd of January, and I'm going to actually talk to you guys about responsible for your own creativity. What does that mean? Something I put in my notes here. And that's sort of like when you get stuck, right? When you're training hard, you're trying to get to where you want to be, you want to make the best progress possible, and sometimes you read a book, or you read an ebook, or you read an article, or you watch a video, and a lot of the time, you try to take people's ideas and use them and try them in your own training, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I think it's important that I've made a video about this before, about thinking for yourself, but be responsible for your own creativity. Think about what you really need to work on, where you're lacking, kind of where your ego is, and decide whether or not that ego is getting in your way. Like today in my training, I was doing some deadlifts, and one of the suggestions by Greg Nichols on a comment I made on one of his videos was focusing on neutral back deadlifts. And because my head is sort of stuck in this place, how much deadlift I should make, that's my ego getting in the way, I really should have been deadlifting a lot less. I mean, I worked up to 505, and then I kind of backed off to 475, and then I went down to 415. But I still didn't feel like I was in the right spot. I still didn't feel really neutral in the upper back. I mean, it was less rounded, if that makes any sense. But my point is that you got to be creative. You got to think about sort of where you're stuck. And you got to see the things that are coming ahead as you train. Because I think one of the hardest things when it comes to training is I don't know, for me, it's just being totally honest with a new idea. Because neutral back deadlifts are hard. Not doing the competition lift to get the most leverage out of the weight is difficult. And when you're trying to focus on a specific skill, like keeping a neutral back, getting more strength from the lockout point, getting better lockout strength on the bench press, getting better in position in the hold, deeper in the squat, it requires you to drop the weight, and it requires you to have sort of a different level of thinking, because a lot of the time when you train, or when I train, there's a sort of gratification that comes from hitting a PR, or the gratification of lifting a sizable amount of weight, whatever that may be. And when you're not lifting a sizable weight, it sort of is less motivating, or it's not motivating at all. And I think what's important is that you have to sort of learn to compact the way you think, so that you can, number one, don't let your ego get in the way. But number two, more importantly, be creative with how you're training. Be creative with your thinking process, so that you can kind of find those ideas. Like I'm making this video now, you might be getting some ideas. You might be thinking about some of the stuff I'm saying, and kind of maybe self-assessing yourself of kind of whether or not you do this to yourself. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But the thing is that my thing about training powerlifting for strength training is that really paying attention to how you do something, paying attention to kind of what you can get from training, thinking about like what you're doing good, what you're doing bad, and sort of being neutral. Don't beat the shit out of yourself and say, oh man, I suck at this, or man, I fucking hate this. It's not about that. It's about getting better. It's about becoming stronger. It's about getting technically sound, working on flaws, working on technique, working on weak points, and using all these things and processing them from set to set to build on the next set, the next repetition. And this is kind of how I love to train, and this is kind of how I overtrain, because I end up doing more sets, or this is how I train too much sometimes, or have too long of a training session, because I'm trying to, I won't really call it overanalyzing, but definitely just get lost and just trying to get better. And I think that I haven't done that a whole lot, because I've been trying to manage my time better, so I have more time to work at work. But I think what's important is that you get into these modes where you're sort of in the zone, and you just are maybe not necessarily, I think you would call this deep practice, for me anyway. For deep practice in powerlifting and strength training is that you get in the zone where you're just right there at your error point, right there at your weak point, right there at your point where you just start to make errors, get weak, make mistakes, but also make some successes. So the weight's not too heavy, it's not too light, it's right there where your challenging point is. And you use that moment, and you dig deep into it, and you just try to find that magic creativity. You try to find what that is, so that you can take your training to the next level. Because a lot of the time when it comes to training, you know, you're going to train 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 3 days a week. You squat once a week or twice a week, or, you know, whatever lift scheme is you have. And it seems like a lot of big breakthroughs that I've had come from those kind of training sessions where I'm thinking about, like, okay, how can I get better? What am I doing wrong? Looking at my videos and seeing kind of what's not right about my movement, asking the right questions. If anything, sometimes the frustration, or maybe sometimes the misunderstanding of kind of where you're at, just really comes from asking the right questions to the right people, because then you get some thoughts. And it's yeah, that's where I kind of want to leave it. I'll leave it right there. It's kind of like, where is, you know, what is it that you're doing that you need to improve on, or what is it that you need to keep doing to keep making improvements? And you just think about these things, and then you get ideas, and then you give these ideas a try. And the same process, not only do you find possibly better ways to get stronger faster, but more importantly, you actually enjoy training more. Because to me, powerlifting, strength training is like this puzzle that you're trying to unravel and solve. And it's not always necessarily about getting there the fastest, but it's great to get there faster. It's great to hit that next PR. It's great to kind of build yourself up and set yourself up for the next training cycle, the next PR attempt, the next powerlifting meet. So anyways, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Share comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.